2008 Olympic Games promise to be the biggest party on Earth. Thousands of athletes will descend on Beijing for the fight of their lives, and more than 4 billion people will watch them. For 2 decades, China has been building a reputation as the sporting superpower.
We know that China is outspending us, is out researching us, is out talent identifying us, and they have a population that's enormous.
Rival athletes around the globe mobilize.
实际上，体育就是一个没有硝烟的战场。
Round the clock, supported by armies of scientists and coaches, these mere mortals push their bodies to the limit and beyond. Now, the world wants to know, will China take gold at these, the ultimate Olympics? China re-entered the Olympics in 1984, but her rise up the medal table has been astounding. In Barcelona, she came 4th. In Sydney, 3rd. And in Athens, China took 2nd place on the medal table. So what's the secret to winning Olympic gold? To find out, we go behind closed doors and meet the rivals. In gymnastics, China is squaring up to the USA.
大家永远都知道啊，这个金牌是谁是谁，这个金牌是谁是谁。
In swimming, Chinese athletes face a dominant Australia.
To win a gold medal at Beijing would probably be everything that I have ever wanted.
And in track and field, they are taking on the British.
从现阶段来说，我们必须从身体素质上要有很大的提高，才有机会从08年跟欧美运动员去抗衡。
China is number 2 on the Olympic medal table. The USA currently holds the number 1 spot. But it's not always been so. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union dominated the Olympics. For over 30 years, Soviet athletes like Olga Korbut stole the show.
And she's done it! She's done it! 9.9!
The secret of Russian success was to spot talent young and set up sports academies focused on creating Olympic champions. After the decline of the Soviet Union, the USA topped the medal tally. With her eye on Olympic gold, China saw the value of the Soviet sports system. There are 3,000 sports academies like this one in China. Thousands of young athletes like these are hand-picked for intensive training. They are the base of a giant pyramid geared towards spotting champions.
You can't mass produce champions, but if you bring enough people into the system, some of them are going to emerge into champions, and that was the way the Soviets did it, and that's the way China is doing it.
In recent years, as the country opens up to the world, Team China is also embracing new ideas.
那么进入21世纪以后，不光是中国，世界各国的体育呢，它竞技体育，如果提高一点点成绩，都是需要高科技渗透的。
China's secret weapon is to better combine technology and intensive training with her own ancient traditions. Will this new killer combination help China take gold in 2008? Here at the National Training Center in Beijing, security is tight. The athletes inside this building are precious and protected. Now, for the first time, we meet them. 27-year-old Yang Wei is a product of the intensive talent spotting system. Since childhood, he's devoted himself full-time to gymnastics. Now, he is a world champion.
杨威呢，在体操队里头是这么一个主心骨式的人，啊，他心态很平和，为人非常正派，就是体操队里一个大哥哥，他要是在，别的运动员就觉得心里有底。
An Olympic veteran from Sydney and Athens, Yang Wei is famous in China and respected throughout the world of gymnastics. He is already a silver medalist, but for Beijing, he wants gold.
每一次比赛我都会去争取站在最高的领奖台上面。
Winning gold isn't the only factor driving him. At 27, Beijing is his last chance.
而现在，不管我做什么，或者是我所有的行动、所有的动作，或者是我所有的想法，都是围绕着08年去展开。
Yang Wei's schedule is so demanding, he has little time for life outside gymnastics. Even marriage plans are on hold until after the Olympics. "6,000 miles away, Yang Wei's progress is being closely watched by another Olympic hopeful. David Durante's journey to the Olympics couldn't be more different from his Chinese rival. The talent spotting of potential American athletes is less systematic. Children who show promise train at local clubs at weekends. The exceptional ones gain scholarships to universities, where they get access to top-notch facilities. David typifies the American approach. Last year, he finished university and moved here to the United States Olympic Training Center. David is the same age as Yang Wei, and he knows that he will only have one throw of the Olympic dice.
Beijing is my last hurrah. I've done everything to make sure that I succeed in this sport, and I will have left everything out on the floor. And my heart and soul I've poured into this sport.
Here, America's best athletes and scientists strive to maintain global dominance. But can they do it?
The patriotic side of me says absolutely. We will rise to the occasion. The realistic scientific side for me would say that we are in the biggest, most serious fight we've ever been in.
Today, that fight is with China.
Beijing is probably the most serious challenge that U.S. athletics has faced since the mid-50s, I would say, when the communist bloc countries first started competing.
The Chinese team is unbelievably strong, and seeing them at World Championships in '06 was definitely a rude awakening to see what kind of work we need to do to catch them.
China won the championships, and Yang Wei was ranked #1 in the world. But perfection comes at a price. For more than 2 decades, his body has suffered a punishing 6-day-a-week training schedule.
练体操给我带来了很多的荣誉，给我带来了我整个造就了现在的我，但是也给我带来了一身的伤病。虽然这是每一个运动员都不可避免的，但是也是作为牺牲的一部分。
Recently, cracks have started to show. Years of chronic injury have taken their toll on Yang Wei's body. He can handle the pain, but his body is showing its age. For Yang Wei to win gold at the Olympics, his body must be kept in perfect condition. He needs help, and this is the man to do it. The Beijing Olympics is China's coming out party, a chance to show the world what she can do. At Beijing 08, China's gymnasts hope to win more gold medals and are taking on their biggest rival, the United States of America. These two rival countries have opposite systems to finding and training gold medalists. In the US, there are no full-time sports schools. Olympic preparation for male gymnasts starts at university. While in China, elite selection begins in the kindergarten. Of the tens of thousands of Chinese children who come into this full-time system, only a few are ever expected to reach the top.
我们训练规范都是跟原来前苏联学的，他运动训练的非常规范。
This approach gets great results, but there is a drawback.
原来我们就是生练，啊，一看这个啊，他还有余地，他还可以承受，你想偷懒也不行。
This round-the-clock regime causes fatigue, which often leads to injury. So Team China has taken a radical step in their pursuit of Beijing gold. They have recruited Dr. Bob Chan, an American-trained physiotherapist. His task, to keep Chinese gymnasts in top condition. Dr. Chan himself has overcome huge obstacles in his life. Despite being born deaf, he'd been teaching physiotherapy in the US for 16 years. When, in 2001, out of the blue, the call came. Would he come home and join Team China?
Coming back here, it's like a dream come true. Well, I think it's worthwhile, maybe it's only once in my lifetime, to really help my home country.
He'd been away for 20 years. Times had changed.
For me, going to US, in '85, I got a culture shock. But when I come back to China, I got my second culture shock. And you can see a lot more modern building. On the other hand, I think people also have changed a great deal. People becoming much more proactive and outgoing.
When Dr. Chan saw this transformation, he figured the athletes too would be ready to embrace a new approach to winning gold. He had to teach Team China that recovery is every bit as important as round-the-clock training. Dr. Chen has a unique approach to helping the athletes. He uses modern physiotherapy, but he combines it with ancient Chinese techniques such as massage and acupressure. According to traditional Chinese medicine, there are channels in the body called meridians. An invisible energy called qi flows through these channels, linking the mind to the organs of the body. Sometimes these channels become blocked, and the energy can't flow freely. Dr. Chen presses upon certain points in the athlete's body to remove any blockages. He needs to keep the qi flowing to all the cells so that the athlete stays perfectly balanced. 2 decades of relentless training have got Olympic veteran Yang Wei to the top, but it's also left him with chronic injuries. Dr. Chen thinks he can fix Yang Wei. What his body needs is a good service.
Like a car, you have to take some maintenance job, and like every 3 months you have to take to the mechanical shop and do some maintenance work to keep it running. So my job is like a mechanic.
Chen hopes that his synthesis of Eastern and Western medicine will enable Chinese athletes to overcome the problems of their intensive training system. In Colorado Springs, Team USA is using sports science to solve a different problem. A new scoring system means that gymnasts must now combine the most difficult routines to maximize points. Head scientist Bill Sands will rely on technology to overcome this challenge.
At this point in time, in my opinion, you have to train athletes the same way that NASA trains astronauts.
He decides to dissect the most challenging routine of all, the Maltese cross.
The Maltese brings with it so much value from a scoring standpoint that you're almost silly not to work on it.
In the Maltese cross, the gymnast must hold himself horizontal on the rings, as flat as a tabletop. Sands thinks he knows which muscles are important, but he is going to use electromyography to see if he is right. Dr. Sands applies sandpaper to David's skin so that he can then place electrodes over the key muscle groups.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
As he works his way through David's muscles, Dr. Sands gets a surprise.
You've got some unusual stuff here, even as we look further on.
It's
Your
really firing,
abdominal
really.
is, it's firing pretty quickly. Upper trap isn't doing much, and Vitali doesn't even really have...
The data from the electrodes reveals something invisible to the naked eye. Sands was confident that 4 major muscle groups were used in the Maltese cross. But now he discovers that the trapezius muscle in the upper shoulder was also firing. David now focuses on strengthening the right muscles. He hopes it's not too late.
That moment of being in that pressure situation in 08, having that team count on you in that team finals, I go through that in my head on a daily basis. I picture it, in slow motion, from the spectator's point of view, from my point of view, from the judge's point of view. I like to see it from every angle, so that when I get there, I feel like I've done this 100,000 times. So it's just like every day for me.
These two young men have so much in common. In August 2008, they will meet face to face. Like gladiators, they know that the victory each yearns for can only come by destroying the other. To top the medal table at the Ultimate Olympics, a nation must excel across the range of Olympic sports, including track and field. Athens 2004, Liu Xiang wins gold in men's 110-meter hurdles. The race is on, but can other Chinese athletes follow Liu Xiang's sparkling lead? China is changing at a dizzying speed. This transformation encompasses much more than just roads and buildings. Chinese athletes, too, are transforming how they prepare for the Beijing Olympics. The whole city is getting ready for August 08.
那么，到人家把票投给你北京，举办这么一次全世界范围的一个奥运会的时候，表明了全世界人民对你改革开放和对你的展示的认可。所以就是说，世界拥抱了北京，北京将还世界一个惊喜。
Mingling amongst the crowds today is a gang of youngsters. These young men and women are China's best chance for winning gold in track and field. It's the most popular Olympic event. It brings the glory and yields almost 150 medals. China had never done well in athletics. But in 2004, all that changed. Liu Xiang's success gave China's track and field hopefuls a huge morale boost. But more importantly, Chinese coaches began to question the effectiveness of the old system of relentless training.
所以说呢，从整个田径界呢，对于这个训练呢，通过刘翔这情况呢，我们感觉我们通过合理的训练，是应该能取得成绩的。
14.8米了。
Coach He Yudi has a Herculean task ahead. When it comes to track and field, China is the underdog. He's made a special study of different training regimes.
通过学习国外的，尤其是英国运动员。
In the UK, athletes and coaches work closely with sports scientists. They have discovered that in training, quality is more important than quantity. In the past, China relied on a time-tested system of repetitive practice from a very young age. This got triple jumper Li Yanxi to the top in China. But when he competed on the Olympic stage in Athens, he only came 15th.
我不能就这样以这样的一种心态，这样的一种状态来回报我的父母，回报祖国。我一定要变得更强。
For Li to do better in Beijing, he needs to find a way to improve his technique. Fortunately, he's not battling alone, and in Coach He, he has found someone special.
我感觉在训练场上就是师徒，回去了就可以，有时候是有时候更像朋友，但有的时候有点父子的那种情况。没事，还有双基本会对他说一些事情吧，但毕竟还有一点自己的小秘密不会告诉他。
The triple jump puts huge vertical and horizontal pressure on the athlete's body. At the peak of his jump, Li must fight a vertical force of up to 15 times his body weight. Coach He has enlisted a team of specialists in biomechanics to analyze Li's body in flight. The laser measures minute changes in Li's speed as he runs in the takeoff phase of the jump. With the cameras, the biomechanists record Li's posture. It's essential he maintains both his body's angle and pelvic position, even at top speed. Coach He will use this data to create a more effective new training package for Li Yanxi. "5,000 miles away in England, science is also being used to prepare an Olympic hopeful for Beijing.
At the moment, sport is the centre of my life, and I think I'd be lost without it.
Compared to China, Britain, with a population of just 59 million, is a sporting minnow. What's more, the UK has no Olympic sports institutes. So Team GB has to think laterally in their pursuit of gold.
One more of those, and then I want you to do it. Same thing.
Laura Finucane is one of Britain's most promising runners.
Now, we know that Laura could be very good 400-metre runner. I would imagine it could be at international level. But that might not be good enough. We want her to reach beyond that.
Steve Ingham has decided that for Laura to compete on the Olympic stage, she needs to become an endurance runner. Laura's body is used to anaerobic exercise, which means deriving energy directly from the muscles without the use of oxygen. But endurance running is aerobic exercise. So she must switch focus from strengthening her legs to conditioning her heart. Luckily, this is something science can help with.
increasingly genetics research is showing us is that you have more potential to improve your endurance than you do as a sprinter or a power athlete.
Laura needs to increase her tolerance to lactic acid. It's a natural byproduct of exercise. Useful as a fuel, too much causes fatigue. She must also work on her technique.
Good. A lot of the athletes have just gone out and run as fast as they can all the time, and what we need to do is to make them move more efficiently so as they expend less energy and ultimately can run faster for longer.
It's week 3 of Project Laura, the hour of reckoning. Blood analysis will reveal if Laura's body is starting to cope with increased lactic acid.
If she doesn't tolerate high levels of lactic acid, then she's not going to be able to cruise as well in a race situation. And so with her, what we're looking to get is an ability to endure any pace of the race, and then when it comes to the crucial part, she switches on her anaerobic system, a bit of a turbo boost, if you like, and that sees her home.
The results indicate the experiment to turn Laura from a power to an endurance athlete is on track.
Nice and easy.
It looks like they can push her even harder to achieve her goal. Lian Shi now has the data from Coach He's scientific team. This reveals that he's arching his body too much in the 3rd phase of the jump.
胸这块挺不出去，我就是这个髋怎么也挺不住，一直是这样的，就感觉一直都这么多。给你保护一下。
Back at the track, Coach He decides to switch from quantity to quality training. He tackles Li's problem with a new focused approach, targeting upper body muscles.
不是像以前一跳，把它跳得很多很皮，这样就训练效果不好。
Now, Li's exercise program includes weightlifting and strength conditioning.
他感觉就是比较适应，就是每天的训练得到了比较好的恢复，虽然不会全部恢复，但是他到非常好恢复，他能有非常充沛的体力进行第2天的训练，就是把这个计划给他安排的节奏性非常好，比较合理了。
The new targeted regime is starting to bear fruit. The boy who came just 15th in Athens won gold at the Asian Games in 2006. Lian Shi came home a hero. His next battle will take place here in Beijing. Li and the other Chinese athletes do have one advantage. As the host nation, China automatically qualifies for almost every event. What's more, studies show that from kindergarten all the way up to professional sport, competing on home turf gives athletes extra confidence. Sports psychologists call this the home team advantage.
If they have a very good opening to the Olympic Games, I think that will create its own momentum. You'll find that the crowd will be expecting all Chinese athletes to start winning, that the athletes themselves will gain in confidence from that and will also feel that they can win. And at the same time, that'll put pressure on everybody else who will be looking and say, wow, these Chinese are great. I'm not sure we can beat them. It could have a huge psychological effect.
The home crowd will have high expectations. Are Chinese athletes strong enough to handle the pressure? Chinese acrobatics dates back thousands of years, and troops like this one exist all over the country. No wonder China excels at gymnastics. Swimming doesn't have such a long tradition here. At Athens, China only won 2 swimming medals. For head coach Zhang Yadong, that's not good enough.
中国有句话叫"千银不抵一金"啊。
Zhang's biggest hope for gold is Asia's 200-meter butterfly champion, the flying fish, Wu Peng.
金牌应该说，我觉得对我就是意味着对我的平时的训练、平时的生活对于我的一种肯定吧，我觉得是。
Just like their fellow athletes, talented Chinese swimmers are selected young and trained hard. Today, they also target their training, strengthening specific muscle groups on land as well as in the water. Coach Zhang is taking things one step further. He thinks he can change his team's fortunes if he also dissects how other nations win gold. Like Australia. At Athens, Australians won 15 medals in the pool. Not bad for a nation of only 20 million. China has a population of 1.3 billion, but only won 2 swimming medals in Athens. So Zhang has mobilized an army of elite scientists to uncover the secret of Australia's success. He's got a hunch. It's their culture.
Success in sport is incredibly important to Australians, probably much more than almost anywhere else in the world. Winning is for men and losing is for wimps, and that's a big thing in Australian society.
The beach is also Australia's playground. Future Olympians begin here, where being in the water is second nature.
Growing up in Queensland, it's hot pretty much most of the year, and you get thrown into the pool from a young age just so you cool off and stop whinging to your parents.
Alice Mills is Australia's Olympic golden girl. Only 17 at Athens, Alice won 2 gold medals.
I burst out crying the whole time we won because I was just so excited and so overwhelmed with the whole experience of doing something they actually dream of. Not many people get the opportunity to fulfill their, wildest dreams.
Australians don't think their culture guarantees gold. They have a different explanation for success.
We don't have the swimming population that America does, or China. For instance, America has every 3 elite swimmers for our 1. China have 10. So to be successful, we've got to be smart at what we do.
Being smart is all about this place, the Australian Institute of Sport, where Alice trains. It was founded by a government embarrassed by the lack of medals at the Montreal Olympics and vowing that Australia would never be humiliated again. The weapon of choice? Technology.
At the moment in sport, athletes are training as hard as they can. They can't train any harder. So what we've got to do is smarter. We've got to be able to use technology to gain those fractions of a second that wouldn't normally be there with just extra training.
Instrumented start blocks measure the force and angle of a dive. Magnetic timing systems identify minute variations in speed. Every move is captured by 24 cameras. Nothing escapes the eye of an army of analysts. While they scrutinize every stroke Alice makes, she can keep her eyes on the prize. Beijing. Team China hasn't got Australia's high-tech armory, but they do have the talent. Wu Peng.
应该说，小的时候等于说就是在体校里练的时候，就希望以后能就是穿上国字号的衣服，然后征战在这个世界的泳坛上面。
For Wu Peng's next battle, Coach Zhang has decided on a change of tactics. In the past, Chinese swimmers focused on strengthening only the obvious larger muscles. But Coach Tsang realized that this wasn't smart thinking. To gain those extra fractions of a second, swimmers must also strengthen the smaller muscles, such as the lumbricals in the fingers and toes. Coach Tsang's team also analyze Wu Peng's blood lactate threshold and monitor his body mass index. This microscopic study of the athlete enables Coach Tsang to see just how a few extra grams might affect Wu Peng's performance. The team's analysis of Australian methods revealed something else they'd overlooked.
往往更多的是注重了运动员的技术，叫 skill， 而没有考虑到实际上这个运动员有比赛风格。
Nurturing Wu Peng's unique individuality requires tailoring nutrition as well as training to his personal needs. Today, Coach Tsang is cooking for his star athlete.
应该说，一般家务的话，或者做饭做菜都是女的比较多。应该说张教练自己在家里也做菜，然后手艺还算不错吧。
Even in the athlete's canteen, every meal is thoughtfully prepared. Chinese culture has a complex approach to nutrition. Every ingredient has an essential nature, cooling or warming. Chefs must combine this with flavor, texture, and color to create meals that are balanced and harmonious. But Coach Tsang's soup is extra special. This traditional broth has nutrients which will give Wu Peng a much-needed boost.
对，它补气嘛，因为说实在，补气呢，就是比较能够让所有的人都能接受。
According to Chinese traditional culture, this soup's ingredients of ginseng and matrimonial vine create harmony in the mind and body.
西方人讲究的什么维生素 A、B、C、D 啊，蛋白啊，氨基酸啊，那我们讲究的一些看不见的一些东西，很神秘的一些东西。
Back in Australia, the team has just had a major setback. Alice Mills, their Olympic dead cert, didn't even qualify for the World Championships.
61.4. She missed by .01 in 2 events, and she was ranked 3rd in the world in one of those events.
In preparation for Beijing, the team decides to overhaul how Alice starts a race by switching her from the classic position to the track start. She must now dive in like a runner, with one foot in front of the other.
Set.
In sprint swimming, the start is everything. Just a tenth of a second can put you so far ahead that you're unbeatable by anyone else in the field. So it's crucial to know, in terms of even hundredth of a second, where a person stands.
The immediate results look promising. Now the Australian system comes into its own. The camera captures Alice's dive at 200 frames per second.
The second one here is a lot better with not going back so far.
Alice can use this information to hone her technique to gain valuable hundredths of a second.
I think if you can get them a little bit higher for longer, whereas now they're starting to point down and you're still in the push phase of the dive.
Alice Mills as an athlete has been so close in previous championships. Hopefully we can gain those hundredths of a second or make the difference and bring Alice home with gold.
Alice already knows the euphoria of winning at the Olympics. But back in China, Wu Peng's memories aren't so positive. He got the chance to swim for China in Athens.
所以说特别是想比好。
He made the final of the 200-meter butterfly event.
然后就感觉，就是整个赛场就凝聚那种气氛，就让我就喘不过气来，就是压力特别大。
He came a disappointing 6th. With Coach Zhang's traditional broth, Wu Peng hopes to restore his natural balance and so perform to his potential. After his experiences in Athens, he now thinks he understands the key to Olympic success.
应该说还是自信心吧，跟心理承受能力。因为我每一次比赛都抱着应该说，必胜的心理吧。就是，但是我不会去想失败会怎么样，但是我渴望胜利。
With Coach Zhang at his side, Wu Peng has every reason to be confident. Like Australia, Team China now thinks smart, pinpointing small yet potentially gold-winning improvements to swimmers' performance. As time runs out, the question remains, which nation has got the winning formula? The Beijing Olympic Games promise to be the biggest party on Earth. For some, it's the beginning of their career.
我当然希望在08北京奥运会的时候自己能有所突破，但是我感觉我还是要一步一步的走。
For others, it will be the end.
08年马上就要来临，我觉得每一天的时间对于我来讲都是非常宝贵的。
Have Yang Wei and the rest of Team China done enough? In 2004, China won 32 gold medals. Her rivals think she's on course to beat that record at Beijing.
Do I lose sleep over this? You bet.
If China has cracked the secret of gold, she's done it her way. With an unparalleled talent-spotting system whose tentacles reach into every corner of this huge nation of 1.3 billion. Coaches who have been ready to learn the latest techniques. They've taken the best ideas from abroad and given them a distinctive Chinese twist.
因为你每个民族的文化历史是不一样的。你没法去把它全照搬过来给你服务的，一定要在你的这个环境里头消化同一种理论。
Chinese athletes working at their own recovery use a synthesis of modern physiotherapy and traditional Chinese medicine. Coaches no longer demand round-the-clock practice. Instead, they target training scientifically and often focus on apparently small details that in fact make all the difference. But there's one necessary ingredient to Olympic success that science can't measure or create.
There's a lot of talented individuals in the world, but it's the ones who see winning at all costs as being the only thing that they want and will accept nothing less. And they're very, very rare individuals.
就是说他确实，你确实是伟大，你确实是厉害，是真正的让人家体会到你是我的老大。
The Games last only 16 days. Some events only a matter of seconds. The global army of sports scientists and coaches will have done their best. Their skill and insight have turned sportsmen into superheroes. But come the day, success and failure will be down to the athlete alone. Let battle commence.